All right. Welcome, everyone. I am super excited to be here. We're going to get things kicked off for this event. We've got a lot in store for you. Thank you so much for joining us. I am going to set the stage for what we're in for this week. As a quick intro to me, I'm Barbra Gago. I'm the founder and CEO at Pando. I've been in B2B tech pretty much my entire career, building and bringing great brands to market. I helped bring Culture Amp to market as the first CMO, Greenhouse, and most recently I was a CMO at Miro. I've built and scaled a lot of large and mostly distributed teams while focusing on high performance in that sort of hyper growth context. I love growing people. In my career, I've found that we've sort of been lacking a bit in how we think about and develop talent. And I found as a leader, I was sort of missing some tools. And so I guess the big why for me and why we're here is really the goal that I have as someone who's focused on my career development, had a great career path, been an executive at several companies where I had to think about how are we going to enable and empower teams to be successful and also make the company successful and figure out how to develop my teams. I found that, we fall short of that a lot of times as companies in the systems and programs that we build to help make people successful. I see and have seen that we've left a lot of untapped talent on the table and a lot of untapped potential. And that's because of the systems and structures that we create, or maybe don't intend to create, but they happen, that perpetuate the wrong things. But I also think it's possible for us to change those things. My why is really how do we help level the playing field and really help companies level the playing field to really unlock everyone's true potential and help companies be not only more successful, but also more authentic and more agile. We've seen over the last several years, I think things that were already shifting rapidly shift over the course of just a couple of years. So obviously the pandemic drove a very fast shift to remote work. We already had pockets of it. We already started coping with how do we deal with, distributed team members and collaboration and all of that kind of thing. But now we've seen like a very quick change to people dispersing from larger cities into more rural or maybe beachy living. And also as people and professionals, we're seeking more balance, more quality in our lives. A lot of economic uncertainties and all of the social injustice and social issues that we're dealing with on a regular basis not only cause us a lot of stress and anxiety, but also have shifted sort of what we want from our companies. And we've seen that the shift of what employees want from us. Employees that really want their employers and their companies to do the right thing. They want them to be fair. They want companies to have an opinion and a stance. They want their work life, the processes, the programs, the structures, all of those things to reflect the values that they care about. And those expectations of employees then have been shifting very rapidly and continue to evolve. And I think those those big shifts also require us to change. And I think require massive adjustments and massive resets to how we think about a lot of things within organizations. It's not just like, oh, how are we going to adapt to, remote work or deal with how people are feeling about these social injustices. It's really like the way that we've been building companies needs to change. And I think that's what I'm really excited about. Culture, belonging, connection, growth, agility, equity, all of these things are within a new paradigm. And I think our solution needs to be really thoughtful. And in many ways, as I mentioned, we need to kind of start from scratch. So at Pando, we think that all these factors are leading to a major shift in how we think about career growth. How do people move through an organization? How are they paid? What is their path? It's the number one reason people leave companies at this point. And it's not just about if they have a path, it's also how that growth happens and how that system is built within your company. These things also matter. Is it fair? Is it authentic? Does everybody have an opportunity? Employees care about themselves and they care about their growth, but they also care that the system is fair for everybody at the organization to have that same growth, to have that same opportunity. Do people know how the system works, how decisions are made? I think by democratizing career growth, by rethinking how it's done completely, we're kind of inherently creating a system that's more equitable and a workplace that's more equitable. To democratize career growth, we have to really think about systemic changes and structural changes at work. But the benefit is that those changes also will result in more diverse teams, higher performing teams, greater retention, engagement, employees that are more happy, that have more purpose, that feel like, they're making progress, they're moving forward. So our goal with this event is really to bring the community together, discuss these topics, and give each other tools to help make these changes within our organizations. We don't have all the answers. Obviously, we're also trying to figure this out. We're really excited about tackling this problem. We're really excited about all the partners and people and community around us to participate in that change. So in the event this week, you're going to learn about, it's an opportunity for you to learn about Pando and how we can help, but mostly and more importantly, it's about learning how us and many others think about what the future looks like for both employees, people, teams, as well as leaders. We have some goals for this event and also just kind of broadly, but this is what sort of shaped how we thought about the content and the conversations that we wanted to have over the next several days. So we really care about and want to enable and empower companies within the workplace to be more equitable through having better structure, transparency, and data. So how do we build more fair systems? We also want to empower diverse teams, and that can happen through many ways. But essentially, what are the tools that we can use to equip companies to build and support and empower those teams? And then, as I mentioned before, really democratizing growth, democratizing career progression, ensuring that everybody has an equal opportunity to grow. So I think there's always been this idea of pay parity and fixing the pay gap, but I think ultimately that will continue to happen if we don't relook at how people move through the organization, how they're presented with and given opportunities, and whether or not everybody has the opportunities to grow in the same way. So what to expect? I think first and foremost, we have great people and great discussions lined up for you. We're going to have, I would say, thoughtful discussions in some cases that might push you out of your comfort zone, might get you to think differently about stuff that you believe or have done in the past, which maybe we can think about in a different light. Definitely going to have a lot of practical tools and guidance from people who have been in the space, who have seen a lot of different contexts, who have seen a lot of different ways that companies have grown and adapted to different situations. I think what I'm most excited about is sort of the philosophical debates about where we're headed. A lot of this stuff is not very clear when we're thinking about rethinking things completely. There's going to be a lot of tension between the way things are done, whether or not we intended them to be that way, and the way they can be done, and what are the pros and cons, and how likely are they to happen, and what are going to be some of the things that we bump up against within the organizations that we work to try and make those changes. And ultimately, a great community, authentic and amazing people. I think we have about 5 or 6 sessions per day, so we've got a lot packed in. Obviously, all of the sessions will be recorded and available to everybody after the event as well. So if you can't make every session, you can definitely come back. Please engage with the speakers, engage with the content. You'll have the opportunity to do that in each of the sessions that you attend. And also definitely give us feedback either during the event or after the event. We really want to know your thoughts and how you're enjoying it. I've got a couple minutes left, and I just want to highlight a few sessions from each day that I'm super excited about. So Jason Medley and I, he's the Chief People Officer at Codility. I actually have known and worked with Jason. He was a customer at Greenhouse, a customer at Culture Amp. Now he's a customer at Pando, but we've been friends and worked together throughout the years in the people space. And we're going to be sort of discussing this concept of killing performance reviews and what does that actually mean, and is it possible, and what does that look like? This is something I'm really excited about, helping companies become more agile. Later on today, we also have a great session with Aaron Wilson from Team AI, another old friend from the space, and Aaron Cannon from Paradigm Strategy, and our head of engineering, Leslie, to talk about hiring folks from non-traditional backgrounds. So we've done this at Pando. I think there's, how do you find the people, but then also, is the organization ready for it culturally? Can you even attract those people because of that? Do you have the right systems in place to keep them once they're there? Are people ready for it? So they're going to be exploring a bunch of those ideas and topics. And then tomorrow we've got Lexi B, super excited about her session. She's gonna kind of walk everybody through reflecting on their own privilege and how they can use that to enable others within the organization and create a more equitable workplace. And then we've got a great session between Misha, our head of sales, and Will from Techquitable, talking about how to engage and empower people managers to really grow diverse teams, looking at it systemically as well as sort of tactically. And then on Thursday morning, we've got Candace Schaefer from Spring Health, really to talk about resiliency in the future of work. I really loved kind of exploring this topic with her in like pre-event, but basically how identity and mindfulness and self-care will keep our companies and people thriving. She's done a lot of great work around this, and I'm really excited for that session. And then another session Thursday on retention, and really how do we really turn our managers into coaches? How do we get to a point where management is really about like bringing people in, helping them understand where they develop, and how do we sort of iteratively move them through their career at the organization and have the right kind of impact? So we've got a great panel with Ashley from Bobby and Rachel from Stripe, and again, Misha from our team, to kind of explore those ideas. So we're really excited about the event. We're excited to have everybody here. Feel free to reach out to me at any time if you have any questions or comments or feedback. And the next session that we're going to be kicking off is about systemically removing bias. We're going to be talking about removing bias from feedback that managers give employees, as well as in the promotional process and some of the other systems that are built within the organization. So that's going to be kicking off in just a few minutes. So stay tuned, and thanks again for everything. Enjoy.